Newcastle at the season finale. As we continue our countdown to practice for supercars, let's get back to commentary for race 2 with improved production. Good morning, Matt Nolte.
Good morning, Jess, and good morning to everybody. Yes, it's Fast Friday here at the Adelaide 500. So much to look forward to with the Virgin Australia supercars coming up soon for their very first practice session, their first hit out of season 2018. But the improved production cars are on the circuit for race number 2. Yesterday was pretty spectacular right up till the last lap when our first and second guys split apart and giving Ray Hislop a massive victory. Andy Jones alongside me for this race of a grid that goes right around the hairpin. Over 30 cars here this weekend.
Yeah, good morning, Nolts. What a cracker race it was yesterday. Those guys were going, well, Hislop particularly was fighting pretty hard for that lead with Chris Brown. And it was a cracking battle up until that last lap, as you mentioned. Let's see what these guys can put on for us today.
That car at Hislop still didn't look happy, though, in the race, did it?
No, and same in qualifying, mate. It just looked like he had a lot of understeer dialed into that car. Well, he wouldn't have had it dialed in. It just had it, and he probably didn't want it. So I'd say they would have tried to tune that up for the race yesterday, but it still didn't look as nice as I thought it was going to. You just notice the front wheel in our coverage today. He's got a lot going on. So we'll see if they can tune it up. Cooler conditions here today. A lot of cloud cover. Generally the tyres like that. So we'll see if these boys are a bit racier this morning.
It's quite a weird start out there. I mean, it's supposed to be very blue skies out there today, but very dark and overcast. We just stepped outside for a few moments before this race started. It's got, if anything, a bit humid outside.
Yeah, it has. But the day temperature still hasn't skyrocketed, and we saw in the earlier Carrera Cup race that the pace from the circuit and from the boys out there today is absolutely electric. So I think we're going to see something very similar from these guys. Chris Brown, we heard last night that he had a couple of little engine issues going on. Nothing that stopped him from fighting for the lead, but just a little niggling one where the RPM wasn't getting to the max amount available to him. So he might actually be a little bit racier today and be able to take it to Hislop a fair bit more.
This is not a good sign. This is Cameron Vanendungen's car going back into the pits with no driver. The 40 Winks RX-7, the engine temperatures peaked well over 100 degrees yesterday. They worked later tonight to get that car, and he is a non-starter for this race. What a shame. He was coming from 31st on the grid. It would have been interesting to see how our man in pit lane would have gone in that race. But Ray Hislop and Chris Brown will start on the front row. It's the results of yesterday's race that sets the grid. Walden and Ingram on the second row, down to Troy Marinelli and Justin Wade on row 4. And Matty Ingram and Philip Andrus starting out of positions 9 and 10 of this 30-car grid. Here improved production cars, right down towards the back of the field. You've got Scotty Cook and Anthony Norris down to row 10 with Scott Aho and Bob Jowett in car number 20, starting out at 20. With some familiar names I remember growing up over here with Ian Eldridge and Ian Statham. They've been around for many years in this class. And right down to some of the DNFs at the back, including Andy Sarandis, who led the race early, didn't he, yesterday, before stopping the car down Bartels Road. It's like a car parking lot there for retirees yesterday. Halfway down Bartels Road, he'll start towards the back there with Brenton Clift. So some guys at the front that were predictably fast yesterday, and some retirees are going to charge their way through the field with lap times that sort of are upwards of 10 to 15 seconds between first and last. You're going to see traffic. You're going to see a lot of traffic during this next 8 laps around here.
So we saw Andy Sarandis yesterday, guy come from the second row in his Lancer, 4-wheel drive, got an absolute boomer start, led the first lap, or led the first couple of laps. He ended up down in that car park that you mentioned on the run up to turn 8 with our own Cam Vanendungen. It was a fuse issue in that Lancer that pulled him out of the race, unfortunately. So easy one to fix, but a disappointing way to end such a successful start to the program for Andy Sarandis. He's going to be off the back row, but he's definitely going to move forward.
Yeah, that's the positive part about it. We're going to see him slice his way through the field. The Adelaide South Australia fly cam that will chase all our cars down this Barry Sheen pit straight. We saw some phenomenal shots yesterday, didn't we, during the Stadium Super Trucks session, where they almost come up and glance the bottom of the camera about this point, this famous pit straight. A great field. They were a great addition last year to the Adelaide 500, a mixture of cars from South Australia and right across the country that get on a waiting list to be involved in this event. I think it's really good for the grassroots form of motorsport in Australia, because we see this racing happening every weekend. They get a chance to play on the big stage here.
Anytime you see an oversubscribed grid, it's always a healthy sign that grassroots motorsport is in a good state. We just saw that quick shot while I was talking of Eldridge outside of his pit box, so it'll be interesting to see what officials deem to be a penalty for that, because the rules do say that you have to be inside that box.
So the revs are up, green flags in the back, and we're underway for race number 2. And again, a bit of a tardy start for the front row. The RX-7 of Ingram is going to probably get the lead here, or at least get up to second. Ray Hislop will take the lead, still very dusty on the inside approach into the centre chicane, but Hislop leads, Ingram goes up to second, and Chris Brown leads us up Wakefield Street for the first time. The heartbreak, the top wall, the 96 almost put it in the wall on the right-hand side. Ties up the temperature there as they swing through the staircase section of this Adelaide Parkland Street circuit on the first lap. And Hislop, Brown going in again, so he got back past Ingram at the top of Wakefield Street. So second verse, same as the first from yesterday.
Yeah, it's looking and feeling a lot like what we had yesterday, isn't it? I guess tricky situation for these guys because we don't see them bunched up that tight and in that, I guess, that closer battle pack very often. But the first couple of corners, a lot of speed difference in these cars, so pretty tricky situation. We saw that RX-7 in P3 trying to go for the lead about 4 corners ago, and now he's well and truly out of that hump. So, you know, pretty exciting start to this race.
How about Brown with the sideways stuff through turn number 8, still in his tyres up to temperature in that new long Toyota Sprinter. Through turn 11, that's where he went off yesterday. That
was his style yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah. And if I can steal a line from the cult movie Days of Thunder, Harry Hogg, sideways is fast for him.
Loose is fast, not easy out of control.
Yeah, exactly.
So Scott Aho was damaged on the front of his car. Now Jowett limping around at the bottom of turn 9 of the hairpin, so they'll drop to the back of the field. Meantime, the leaders coming through to complete the first lap here. Hislop, Brown, Ingram, your top 3. It's very pedestrian-like across the curves, wasn't it, for Brown's Sprinter? Stay with Hislop. He stretched the legs of the big Falcon up to the top. Brown looking for a move down the inside. Won't get it done there as a door slams shut in his face at the top of Wakefield Street.
Hislop's still like I'm just saying he's not able to get that car to the apex very well at all. Look at Brown, absolutely driving that Sprinter to its maximum, and then a little bit.
And Hislop defending through this part as he knows the Sprinter is stronger in this section. Now watch the Falcon stretch the legs and pull away down Bartels Road.
Straight line engineering, just all power.
No substitute for horsepower, is there?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Through turn 8, big speed to these cars. It's far narrower than it looks on the television down into turn 9 they come. Notice this year the cars are moving more to the middle. Not with Redford, I heard the wheel squealing of Hislop. He got the car turned into the corner. But they seem to be braking more in the middle of the Kettleville Terrace at the braking point.
There is a few bumps there on the left-hand side or out or right towards the end of the stop. And it was really easy to see that from Chris Brown's car. He is driving that thing to its maximum. I keep saying it, but particularly under brakes, you watch it there, it's just squirming around as he's trying to pull it up. So I think he's trying to avoid those bumps. Speaking of squirming around, this little battle.
Didn't we see this yesterday with David Walden? He's going side by side with Ingram.
What I love about this category is that you can see a move like that happen, but the over and under is still possible. They're sort of close enough, the battle and the racing, but you know, cars have got different strengths in different areas, and these guys are using them very, very well.
So the 9 dropped down the field yesterday after running inside the top 5. There's Ingram in car number 2, the RX-7 that went through a complete overhaul during the off-season. He won the 2016 New South Wales Championship in group production a couple of years back. Still holds the fastest ever lap time for an RX-7 around Wakefield Park over in New South Wales. Has got that retro look about it from the late 70s.
Have you mentioned that to our man, Cam Vanderdook?
That going retro or the fastest lap?
The fastest lap, yeah.
Yeah, you don't go too fast when you park up next to a parking meter, are you? Here's a replay of the start. There's Sarandis in the back of the field, so he's made up 2 or 3 positions straight away. A couple of cars just creeping. We'll keep an eye on Sarandis right now. The man who is leading up to 13th place and into the back of the field. And the Lads are on the charge.
And that car in the previous shot that was just sat there was Nagib. He was in the hunt yesterday for that top 3 position, but a slow start again. So I wonder whether they haven't fixed that car from the incident that they had yesterday.
Look at Matty Ingram in this second of the RX-7s, bouncing across the curbs. That wouldn't be fun on cold tyres and wouldn't be doing the car any favours whatsoever. This is Sarandis down the inside of the replay.
This is the incident that we saw earlier on. That paints the picture of what happened to Aho. Unfortunately, he's tried to make that move up the inside stick. we see this a bit down at the hairpin, don't we? 3 into 1 generally doesn't work, particularly when you're on that extreme inside. And we know Sarandis has got pace in that car, but he just needs to, you know, be calm and measured in his overtaking moves, because that sort of stuff is going to put you out.
Sadly, Scott Aho's car's come back in. He raced at Bathurst in the Toyota 86 Racing Series event in 2017. And his race, he's going to try and get back out there. I'm not sure that toe-in like that's going to be doing him any favours at all. Here's the leaders, though. They're starting to disappear. They've got a 7-second lead back to David Walden now, who runs in third. As we're halfway home in this improved production cars race. Another one to come up tomorrow here. They're a good warm-up back, a good start to the day here at the Adelaide 500 again. It's another massive day here with the Virgin Australia Supercars practice session, of which there's 2 coming up today. The Dunlop Super 2 Series is in the field. Going right through until late this afternoon. Somebody is in the wall backwards here. It's the 7 machine. And
pretty hard too. It's knocked the rear wing off the back of that. It looks, like you said, on the exit of turn 7. So whether or not they've just gotten up on that left-hand curve on the exit there, which we do see sometimes, you grab the throttle a bit too hard. It almost is a bit like a rail slide, and it just fires you hard right into the fence.
It's Darcy Wade, and found a hole in the wall there to park the car. There's a little side street that takes you between Flinders and Bartels Road.
Improved production. Might have a reversing camera still in the BM.
You never
Make sure
know.
He doesn't back it into the fence any harder.
Deleting all the vision that might be stored on there. That curb's a permanent one during the year too, when normal everyday traffic uses it. But when they whack the paint on there, become quite fatal in these conditions. Oh, 38 just pulling up there of Sutton. As we look back at some of these cars further in the field. This is 17th and 18th on the circuit now. As Hislop starts to put a bit of a margin on Brown, it's out to 1.5 seconds. And a further 6 now back to Walden.
Yeah, Brown just doesn't look like he has the pace in the sprinter that he had yesterday, does he? He was able to run with Hislop and give him a real hurry up. Either that, or the guys within Hislop's team have actually tuned that car up a bit and got some more pace out of it. But every time we see a shot of Ray Hislop's car go through the hairpin, we can just hear the tyre chatter and squeal, and it almost sounds like he's going around, but he's not. That's just the noise coming off this R-Spec tyre.
When you're looking down the track in history of the result from yesterday, it was around 13 seconds, but we all know that race was separated by less than a second for most of the race there.
Yeah, absolutely. It was much, much closer than the end result gap showed.
Gap is now back to less than a second, so that'll seesaw across the race. Continue to watch this battle now outside the top 15 as they sweep through turn 8. It's an uphill approach. You spend the time going downhill. As you get up, so you really just need to fade off the throttle and let the car settle. It's had several modifications over the years. It started more like a chicane back in the first race here in 1999, and in 2002, we'll never forget the first year of the famous sweeper. Man, oh man, as a race fan, it was a cool spot to stand down there and watch the cars blaze on through there at over 230 k's an hour.
Maybe as a race fan, it was a cool thing to see.
Not for you, though.
Yeah, I remember Bradley going through there at one point in the Aussie Mail Falcon and ending up on its lid. That's not a cool thing to see. So exciting for everyone at the track, not so exciting for all the people involved with the race thing.
But that really prompted the change down there, because we had that incident. We had another one the next day, and a year later we had Dean Canto have that really big crash back in Italy. I think our own Greg Murphy had a crash there as well in qualifying in 2001.
Yeah, correct. And it's great that, you know, within a sport like ours, when incidents like that happen, that a whole safety team looks into it and works out what they can and can't do to just make the whole sport and the circuit safe for everybody. This battle's seesawing here, isn't it? We were talking about the gap blowing out to a bit over 1.5 seconds, but it's looking like Chris Brown's coming back at Ray Hislop. That's what we want to see. Yeah, battle for the lead.
It's like Hislop finds that half a second when he's going down Bartels Road to Sector 2, then it closes up again from Sector 1 up to the top of Hutt Street. So Hislop, with 2 laps to go when they come by this time.
Fall sideways from Chris Brown around the second last corner, just drifting the sprinter.
He's not giving up. Chase him down, pit straight here with 2 laps to go. Brown, of course, is a sales rep for Newlon. That's how he's got the sponsorship on the car, and they're presenting the improved production cars this weekend at the Adelaide 500. The Improved Production Nationals are actually being held in South Australia, the all-new Taylor Ben track, the Ben Motorsport Park, later this year, and we're expecting huge fields for that 2-day event. We're looking forward to going up there in August for the first round ever Virgin Australia Supercars Championship, the Ben Super Sprint.
And from all accounts and all the pictures that we've seen, Knowles, it looks incredible out there, doesn't it? The field facility is absolutely world class.
Yeah.
Cannot wait to get out there.
It feels like when you go there that you've gone to another country. It just doesn't look like we're in Australia. It's so well done. You'd see it from miles away, and now, going past the 39, it's limping down Bartels Road. Really went the right time, just before the tipping point.
And that's Aho out on the road there. So we saw that car in the pit earlier with a whole heap of tow out on it, which didn't look good. So whether or not those guys have got a hammer to the steering arm and just tried to straighten it out, eyeball it, it does look like it's pointing in the right direction.
Bit difference to the old fishing line and measuring. It's thick, isn't it? 3 hits the hammer, that should put it back in. Up to the top we go again. So Hislop, now he starts to find lap traffic, but 1 lap to go. He's got the gap out to 2.3 seconds to Brown. They're now 10 or 11 seconds clear of Walden, who's still in third.
And part of that gap blowing out is Ray Hislop is actually doing a really good job of getting through this traffic. He was able to clear Aho before turn 8, but unfortunately Chris Brown wasn't, and he just got held up a little bit.
Time 13th and 14th is on now between Sarandis, who's come from the back, and Ian Eldridge, the South Australian, who's been a great supporter of grassroots motorsport for so long here in South Australia. And Sarandis, you've got to give this guy the drive of the day. Past that little blemish down at the turn 9 hairpin, he has been on the charge in race 2 of the improved production cars. Not sure if he's going to get to the top 10. He's 12th at the moment with 1 lap to go.
I think he's going to give it a good nudge. He's got plenty of pace in the Mitsubishi. Oh, got a bit here. There. Yeah, we went quiet, I think, definitely.
Hislop's in trouble here. I think he's found a box full of neutrals halfway down Bartels Road.
Oh, that's cruel, isn't it? That is cruel, but Chris Brown will be rubbing his hands together. Now, let's see, that gap was out to about 11 seconds over Walden in P3, so whether Hislop can just roll around and get this car going again. The lights have gone off. So does that mean he's trying to do a reset, or no? He's taking the escape rope down into the hairpin. Oh, that's a shame.
Same as what we saw yesterday. Went down to the last lap and promotes Chris Brown, who got pole position yesterday, is going to inherit this win. Walden will move up to second. He did apply the pressure the whole time, slides his way out the final turn, and Chris Brown turns it into a race win in race 2 of the improved production cars here at the Adelaide 500.
There was a huge smile that we could see under the helmet there for Chris Brown. No so smiles going on there. That was Aho. So the guy that was involved in that incident down in the hairpin on the last lap has come together. I didn't catch who he's come together with, but they've got
the 41 of Scott Willing that was in there,
and it looked like behind the pit lane there at turn 11. 9. Oh, turn 11.
Yeah, round the back. Oh. So he's trying to move down the inside. It was Ingram on the outside and Drills. That was Aho who was probably limping around just to stay out of everyone's way. He's got the curve up. It's turned him into the right-hand side. So for the second time in this race, Scott Aho's found himself in dramas at Willing.
So that was Willing trying to get the move done on the Mazda and committing pretty hard, but then finding Aho limping around in front of him and unfortunately making contact.
Oh, we didn't see this either. This was leading into the last lap for Ray Hislop, just grabbing the left front into turn number 1. And this is the moment where it all went bad for the big Falcon. We captured it, didn't we? As we come out of turn number 7, we just heard the rev spike. The car slowed, and the Toyota Sprinter took the lead and took the win. You don't need to lead the whole race to win it, do you?
Fortunately not. And like you said, Matty, we heard that box full of, well, it sounded like a box full of neutrals, didn't it? The rev spiked, so definitely something mechanical. Great job, Chris Brown.
Yeah, 10 seconds ahead of Walden. Ingram got to 3rd place, and then Troy Marinelli was in 5th. At the pace of some of the hard lunch stories this race, Michael Ryman got his way through the field as well, and Ray Hislop finishing down in 25th position on there. So the results of this race will set it up for race number 3 of the improved production cars. Let's take a look at the highlights. And again, it doesn't pay to be on the front row, we found this weekend.
No, definitely not. Although Ray Hislop managed to lead into turn 1. And we saw that dust come up again. Not a lot of guys using that left-hand side of the road on the run into turn 1. Busy as always on this opening laps. Cracking battles. And guys trying to be probably a bit cheekier than they normally would. We saw this incident, which was a bit awkward. 3 into 1. Unfortunately, that's probably one of those incidents that maybe the stewards can look at and we'll just sit on the fence with.
Yeah, there might be some more to it maybe later on. Some great shots through the centre chicane, looking back through the field of the 61 of Mitchell in this race. Spinner at the back there, the 18 of Marinelli, who got himself back into the field to finish 5th in the end. And then this moment, went to grab the next gear, and it was oh no, no go for the number 1 of Ray Hislop. Headlights off, he was out of this race. Headed down the exit route down there at the Academy Terrace. And it was still going on even after the checkered flag in this race.
Final lap, 3 corners to go. That's a big hit. It's a big hit.
Ambitious, to say the least, trying to weave their way through lap traffic at the same time. But Chris Brown, he saw the back of Ray Hislop's car for 7.5 laps. And in the end, he got the win by 10 seconds ahead of Walden, Ingram, Cruz and Marinelli. Fantastic job in the Toyota Sprinter. He'll start from pole position for race number 3. Back into the pits they go. Great start to the morning here on the streets of Adelaide, but get set, settle in, because we're about to kick things off with the first Virgin Australia Supercars Championship practice of season 2018. It's coming up right after this here on Fox Sports.
A young lover keeps it bumping in the streets